Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Hopefully you guys are doing well. Thanks for joining in today. We are back on the Coxton sub in Biliary, and we are looking at part 2 today of the Biliary Local. But first up, we're going to have a couple of clips here where we take a look at the southbound manifest getting ready to head on out of Biliary. This is where we left off last time for part 1, and so this is where we will pick up today. Stay tuned. So here we don't have too much left to do for this train, but he does need to finish his move up, and then he will go ahead and start backing up. All he's doing here is clearing the, what would that be, the east lead of Monson Yard. So as soon as he backs up here and reconnects, he will be on his way out, and we will be ready to pick up again with our local sitting over in Starkey Yard. So now that the southbound train is out of our way and we have track 0 available to us, we're going to go ahead and pull the local out of Starkey Yard. We do first need to get over to track 3 in Starkey Yard and grab all of those cars that we left earlier when we worked the gasworks. So now that we have grabbed those, we will finally pull everything here, and what we're going to do is shove all these cars into Monson Yard and then just drop them off. We are not going to work these cars in Monson Yard. We're going to let the yard crew do that later. So we're going to shove them back here on track 1 now that it's clear. And we're just going to cut loose. And then we're going to head over to track 8. We're going to go ahead and clear track 8 now because we need to have track 8 clear to be able to work a couple of industries. And even though it was the last thing on our list, we got Yardmaster permission to go ahead and put the cars from track 8 onto track 7. Now we can head back over to track 6 and pick up the cars that are on track 6. These are every car that's still waiting on us to be delivered here in Biliary. So the last thing we need to do is do just a little bit of classification, mostly just to get things grouped up. So we want the BIMs and the BIGs together, but we want those right now, and all the other cars, the BISs and the BILs, we're going to go back and put those on track 6 and get to those later. The reason for this is the industries that are BIG, which is the goods warehouse, and BIM, which is the toy mill, are both served with trailing switches from where our locomotive is currently located. So we need to have the locomotive on the east end of the cars, the west end of the cars actually, in order to make it work. Don't get to do a lot of kicking, but we do just a little bit. There wasn't too much sorting to do here, so we didn't have to kick too many cars. Once we shove this cut clear, we'll be ready to go ahead and start working all of our BIGs and BIMs. We will do ourselves a favor and also make it so that the BIGs and the BIMs are all together. That also is going to be a good idea, so we're going to do that as well here in just a minute. Alright, and here we are backing up to the warehouse. So the warehouse has 4 tracks. All of our pickups here are on track 2 today, and this is also where we are setting out all of our cars. We don't need the tags anymore, so get those turned off. So first we're going to do the pickups, get those out of the way. Anytime that we are setting out cars on the Coxton sub, we always put them at the back of the spur. So that way if you ever leave any cars on the spur, in case you're not picking them all up, then you can leave those in front because they'll more likely be the first ones picked up next time. Alright, we go back and grab our 3 boxcars that we're going to set out. So everything behind the Western Maryland boxcar is going to get set out on track 2. This warehouse mostly simulates how we supply the team tracks in the smaller towns. So industries can ship their finished goods here to the warehouse in boxcars, and from those boxcars, things can be taken out, warehoused, and then now you can get, instead of a boxcar having a full load of paper, for example, or fasteners or furniture, you can have the warehouse sort it and get it all into like basically LCL or less than carload. and then you can have a boxcar that goes out to a town, and it's basically got a bunch of different palletized goods that different businesses or people in that town have ordered. So LCL business was definitely not very profitable, and it was getting out of style by this time in history. Probably already was, for all we know, but here we at least simulate it because it's fun. So this scene here that you've seen is us looking at the Martin Toy Mill. So we have 2 tracks on the left for lumber, 1 for steel, and 2 for boxcars on the right for shipping out finished toys. The business is officially called Martin Entertainment. I haven't made a track or anything for delivering plastics. I decided that I'm going to deliver plastics, but I'm not going to create like a small transload shed for it, because we're going to go with the assumption that plastics is a new thing that they're including in their toys, like new within the last year, and so they just haven't created the facilities yet because they are still, experimenting with the tooling and the product lines and all that stuff to see if it's going to stick. So I'll let you just deliver some plastics without actually having to create any facilities for them. I figured the steel track over there has plenty of space, or the track where the boxcars go can be another track where we can deliver plastics in covered hoppers. We're going to go ahead and pull the bulkheads here off of this first lumber track. We only have 3 setouts, so we only need to have enough space to get those 3 setouts in, which is 1 track is enough. We are going to go ahead and complete all the pickups here at the mill, though, so all the empty steel cars are going to get loaded as well. And then we're going to back up and grab the 2 boxcars over from the warehouse. There are 2 tracks at the warehouse. Typically, it's almost exclusively where they ship toys to the warehouse in either Coxton or the warehouse in Johnsville. And so 1 track typically loads boxcars for Coxton and the other loads them for Johnsville. You can, of course, load a boxcar to be shipped off the route, so either KCS, Louisville, Nashville, Santa Fe, or the Southern Pacific. Here we are reconnecting to our setouts. We're going to go ahead and pull forward to get ready to set those out. First up are the steel cars. Once we leave those steel cars in place, we'll go ahead and drop the first bulkhead with the lumber. And then before we shove the other 2, we'll go ahead and push the boxcar back there, which we have now finished. Then we'll shove the other 2 bulkheads and get all 3 bulkheads in place onto their track before we officially sign off for all deliveries to Martin Entertainment. All right, and now we will pull forward and get away. So after doing some runarounds here in the yard and leaving all of our other pickups on track 8, we have now run around and we're reconnected to everything else that goes out today. So we've got some cars for the stone quarry. We've got a boxcar and then some hoppers. And we also have a couple of reefers, a hopper, a tanker, and a boxcar going over to the local tracks here in Biliary as well, which are just to the right. You can work this in kind of whichever order you want, but for us, we're going to deliver the local tracks first. Still lots of scenery work to be done here. We've just got everything kind of roughed in. Plus, I'm going to be replacing all the roads and adding in Turfex and things. So this scene will look incredibly nice when it's finished. And right now, it just looks eh. But I'm not disappointed in it. It's just, getting the operational details first. So we are currently sitting on the spur over to the quarry, but we're not going to go all the way yet. We're just making some space. We can do some switching here. So now that we have the local tracks on the right, we're going to go ahead and grab all the pickups, which I believe is just 3 boxcars. Once we grab those 3 pickups and get them out of the way, we will be ready to set out our setouts, our spots actually. Lost the word there. So while I have a second, something funny that happened while I was running this local, I do a lot of switching, a lot of classifying, but the way this local works is it's easiest to deliver the box cars with goods first, then the reefers, then any tanks or hoppers or anything else that's going to go to the third warehouse. And funny enough, I had actually put them in order completely by chance without realizing it. So that actually saved me a lot of time. It's easiest to do that in the yard, but that's not a requirement. So the order is goods, perishables, and then bulk. All right, now we're officially heading off to the Quarry branch. This branch goes a little over a mile, not too far. Speeds are pretty low, and it is a relatively gentle downgrade. This scene is technically sped up 300%, so we're going 3 times as fast as we actually did, but the sound, I just dubbed over some sound at normal speed just so it wouldn't be silent. But this, at the speed I was going, this was about a 3.5-4 minute run, so I didn't want to just have that much dead time, but at the same time I wanted to kind of let us see what this branch looks like getting down here. Alright, so typically the first way we do business, you've got the quarry there in the background. I do have a few updates to do to that, but for the most part I kind of like it. I do have some mining equipment I need to add, but the way we do business is we pull in here to the runaround. That is always the first thing you do, and you run around your cars. So here you can see our engine is completing that move now. Once you're finished running around your cars, you can grab your pickups and get those out of the way. It usually makes sense to go ahead and clear out the loading track here first to get everything out of the way, and just always pick up everything off this track. So we've got 10 loaded aggregate hoppers we're going to take with us. After we get those off of the spur, the next best move is to go ahead and back up to get any hoppers you're going to set out here, the empty ones, and shove those back and get them in place. And then once that is done, you kind of have a bit more freedom. If you have some cars that need to be set out over to the warehouse on the right, you can then go grab those, which we're going to do that now. I decided we would go ahead and leave our hoppers behind just because they're so heavy and they make the train handling a little bit tougher. So we're only actually setting out one car. So we're going to grab him and move him over and pick up all 3 cars there in the background. Alright, we will go ahead and set out this car right here on the platform and take all the other cars with us. So all in all here, we dropped off 5 hoppers, 1 box car, and picked up 10 hoppers, 2 box cars, and a tanker. So quite a bit of traffic coming in and out. The tanker was carrying diesel, and the box car was probably carrying tools or different materials, and then of course we're shipping gravel out as well. Well, here we'll get a look at our train as we head back to Monson Yard. Thank you guys for joining in today to watch part 2 of the Biliary Local. So this is a pretty challenging one to run. I think all in all I spent about 6.5 hours on it. I expected to spend about 4, but definitely spent 6.5, and that was running it a little bit faster than I would have if time really wasn't an issue. So honestly, you could probably easily plan for 7 hours worth of operation just on this one train. And we didn't travel more than I think 10 miles total, and that includes all of our switching moves and everything. In reality, as far as distance from starting location, I don't think we were ever more than like a mile and a half. So, but thank you guys for joining. If you enjoyed it, please make sure to leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more, and leave a comment if you have any questions or anything that you like to stuck out to you. So thanks as always for watching and for joining, and hope you guys enjoy your Labor Day today. We'll see you guys next time.